Hi everyone, I'm Rena Kent and the Head of Apprenticeships at Windsor Forest College at Langley, and I'm really excited today to talk to you about apprenticeships. It's something I'm very passionate about and motivated to explain about to other people as well. So I hope you get as much information as you need from this session, but like my colleague Fiona has said, she's monitoring the Q&A box and the chat box, so any questions you have, please do put them in the Q&A box and I'll be more than happy to answer them once we've gone through this presentation. So I'm just going to give you a little snapshot about what apprenticeships are, what an apprenticeship involves, and how you would benefit from an apprenticeship. So to become an apprentice, you must be over the age of 16, not already in full-time education, and live in England. So, you know, anybody can be an apprentice, well, near enough anyone can be an apprentice now. The previous sort of apprenticeships that used to be in place were called frameworks, and we've now moved to something called standards, which makes it so much more open to a wider and a broader variety of people. And so the opportunity is there for a lot more people than it was there before. You can start an apprenticeship whether you're at the beginning of your career, or even if it's something that you're thinking about upskilling in, or in your current job. You know, your employer wants to support you to upskill from a level 2 to a level 3, or to gain a qualification as part of your job role. So, you know, there's so many different opportunities there, and you can have a previous qualification like a degree. Previously, when applying for an apprenticeship, you couldn't be a degree holder, so that's something new that's changed as well. So as an apprentice, what will you do? You know, lots of people just think it's going to be lots of work, lots of hours at work, making cups of tea or doing filing, or, you know, being just the person that's in the background. But no, apprenticeships have changed massively since they moved over to standards. So you'll learn and train for your specific job role. You get paid and receive holiday leave. So you're an actual full-time employee of the company that you're working for. So you will get all the benefits and everything that a normal employee would be getting, including holiday leave. You get that hands-on real experience in a real job. And I think that is the key thing when doing an apprenticeship. You know, there's absolutely nothing wrong with going to university, and if that's somebody's choice, there's absolutely nothing wrong with, you know, going straight to college. But the benefits that you get from doing an apprenticeship and that real life experience, you actually do not get in any other opportunity while studying and getting your qualification. You study at least 20% of your working hours, usually at college, but now with the standards, some of that 20% is actually called off-the-job training, but it's at work. So that's where your employer is committed to giving you 20% of your working time towards learning and development, whether that's in college or in the workplace. You will complete assessments during your apprenticeship, but also at the end. So with the standards, what we have is something called the endpoint assessment, which I'll talk about a little bit more in a while, but you will be assessed throughout your apprenticeship, and then you have an endpoint assessment with an independent assessor. You can be on a career path with lots of future potential. I tell lots of apprentices, treat your apprenticeship as the world's longest job interview. You are always trying to excel yourself. You're trying to make yourself indispensable, and that is the real key thing. As long as you take your apprenticeship seriously and you're committed to it, the world is your oyster. So you know, you can progress in the current job that you're in with that apprenticeship, or you could be moving on to bigger and better things. So what is an apprenticeship? A lot of people think it's an easy way out. Let me tell you, it's absolutely not. It's a real job. You have a full-time job and you are getting paid for that job. You are working with other professionals, whatever trade or industry that may be in, but you're learning and you're gaining experience and getting paid at the same time. You'll be an employee with a contract of employment. You'll get holiday leave. And by the end of the apprenticeship, you'll have the skills, knowledge and behaviours needed for your chosen career. So the hope is that throughout your apprenticeship, whether it's 15 months, 2 years, 3 years, depending on what programme you would choose to do, the hope is that you would be fully trained, skilled and knowledgeable in that industry to be able to pursue a real career in it. The length of your apprenticeship, like I've said, will depend on the level that you choose, and the program. So lots of our programs are of different lengths, and you know, they're at different levels as well, which I'll go through a list of what we have to offer as well. So if there is any more you want to find out about specific programs, we can go into that. And your apprenticeship is funded from contributions made by the government and your employer. So it works hand in hand together. So it's an absolutely brilliant opportunity for anyone that's thinking about becoming an apprentice right now. So what does an apprenticeship look like? So this is a little diagram of how the journey of an apprenticeship starts. So if you were to join an apprenticeship with us, we would obviously do the enrolments, the enrolment process with you. You'd have an initial assessment with an assessor or a skills coach that works in that industry, be it carpentry, plumbing, IT, business admin, whatever that may be. You'll have an initial assessment with one of our skills coaches and assessors. They will sort of ascertain and speak to you about whether or not you'd be suitable for the apprenticeship, but they'd also want to find out a little bit about why you want to do it, and if the job role that you are currently in or the one that your employer wants you to be in would fit the apprenticeship requirement. So once the initial assessment's done, the sign-up process happens. That's with yourself and with the employer, and then the enrolment happens. Then we get started on your apprenticeship. So whether you're continuing to work with your employer or a new employee, your employer will be giving you that 20% of the time to do your learning and development. You'll have 1 day of college a week, whether that would be face-to-face or remote. Obviously right now all of our college lessons are remote, but we're hoping for a positive change soon and get back to some face-to-face training. But some of our programs do actually run online. Those are like the IT and business admin apprenticeships, but generally most of our other ones are at college. That's where you'll be gaining that real training, knowledge, skills, behaviours. And we will also, for those that aren't exempt from maths and English and do not have the sufficient GCSEs, it's absolutely no problem. It doesn't jeopardise your position on an apprenticeship. What we then do is we enrol you onto functional skills programme, which is our maths and English sessions, and they happen online. We do them on a different day from your trade day, so you don't miss out on the full day of college. But, you know, we have qualified teachers in maths and English and tutors that support you throughout that journey. So if you haven't got the correct GCSEs or you didn't quite get the grade you wanted, that's absolutely fine. We will support you on that and enroll you onto functional skills. So once your apprenticeship comes towards the end and you've been, developing all these skills and knowledge, we have something called the Gateway, the Endpoint Assessment Gateway. So you'll be put through to Gateway, which is with our EPAOs, Endpoint Assessment Organisations, and then you have an endpoint assessment. The endpoint assessment is carried out by an independent assessor who is part of one of those endpoint assessment organisations, and it normally consists of 2 or 3 different endpoint assessment EPAs, as we like to call them. It's a bit less of a mouthful. EPA assessments at the end. And what happened, so for instance, if I look at the carpentry endpoint assessment, that is an online assessment, multiple choice, and then a couple of weeks later it's a practical assessment that's done in one of our practical EPA bays at college, and it consists of 6 hours. So you're assessed for 6 hours. You do have a mock preparation for that, so we will prepare you for the endpoint assessment. And that's it. It's 2 elements to the endpoint assessment for carpentry. With IT, there's 3 steps. There's a synoptic project, there's a portfolio, there's a synoptic project, and then there's an interview, which is done the same way as I'm speaking to you today through a webcast. So every endpoint assessment is different, but at the same time quite similar, because you have to have met all the skills, knowledge and behaviours throughout to get to that point. And as long as you've passed all the elements of the endpoint assessment, you'll do absolutely well. And that's when we come to the completion point. So the programs we have to offer, we're very lucky at Langley College. We have some excellent facilities. We have some excellent, knowledgeable and experienced skills coaches and lecturers and trainers across various fields. So as you will see, we've got a variety of level 2 and level 3 and 4 qualifications. Not so many level 4 at the moment. Majority of our programs there are level 2 and level 3. And there's some really good progression routes. For instance, if you did a level 2 apprenticeship in carpentry with us, you could progress onto a level 3 carpentry. The same with our auto care technician and engineering. We have the level 3 qualifications to go onto those. So there's lots of progression that can happen. And what we find is that if you do well on your level, so if you're starting out straight away on a level 2, and if you do well on a level 2 and you've got a supportive employer, which is the key to a really successful apprenticeship, they do support our apprentices to move on to the level 3. For those that are interested in the equivalent of what these levels mean, a level 2 is a GCSE level and a level 3 is an A level level. It's a bit of a mouthful. And then a level 4 is you're looking at a foundation degree and above. So, you know, it's an excellent opportunity. And like I said earlier, if anybody ever says to you taking an apprenticeship is an easy way out, or you know it's an easy way, or you've not made the right decision, it absolutely is not an easy way out. You're going to have a full-time job, you're going to get paid for it, and you're going to be studying. So it takes a lot of commitment from you, and that's not me trying to put fear in you, because obviously I don't want to do that, but what I want to do is excite you and show you that an apprenticeship is real commitment, and it's for those that are really passionate about pursuing a career. And as long as you're committed and motivated, you will do really well and you'll achieve a lot of success. So I want to be an apprentice. What do I do next? So there's some details there. So feel free to take a picture of the screen if you want to, or jot that number down. You can contact our admissions team. They are open during normal office hours. And there's also an email address there, so you can contact them if you have any questions that you'd like to ask afterwards. You know, if you're anything like me, I sometimes think of a question after, once I've, you know, ended a meeting, or, you know, left something and I've thought about a meeting afterwards. So if you want to, you can contact our admissions team. But we're also running an Apprenticeships Explained event on Wednesday the 10th, which is next Wednesday at 4:30 to 5:30 p.m. I will be delivering that session with some of my colleagues, and I'll be talking a lot more in depth about what an apprenticeship involves and explaining apprenticeships in a lot more detail. So, you know, talking about some of our actual success stories, and you'll be able to read some of our, meet some of our case studies in terms of employer success and learner success, and hear about how our apprentices have got on employers and the feedback that they've given us. So it's going to be a really, really good event. So if today has kind of given you a little bit of a taste for an apprenticeship, but you still want to find out a bit more, then please do join us at that event. You can register on our website, www.windsor-forest.ac.uk. So that's there as well. And you can come and find out more, but you can also contact our admissions team if you want to find out anything else. So I will bring back my colleague Fiona if there's any questions, and I'll be more than happy to answer them.
Thanks, Rena. That was really, really interesting. And I know so many people are really interested in apprenticeships today. Just waiting for some questions to come through. If anybody has them for Rena, we can ask her directly. I've got a question for you just around the levels. What is the difference between a level 2 and a level 3 in terms of what you can do with employment? Do employers take you with a level 2?
Yeah, they do. And a lot of employers actually prefer that if you've got no experience before, they actually prefer that you start at a level 2, because what they don't want sometimes is an apprentice to come in and start at a higher level where they have a higher expectation of them as well. And actually they haven't even been taught the basics like health and safety or the basics of that industry. So the level 2 is sometimes preferred by employers, and it doesn't jeopardize the position of an apprenticeship. The duration is slightly shorter than a level 3. If we look at carpentry, for instance, I know I keep going to carpentry as an example, it's because it's in my head, but carpentry is a 2-year apprenticeship for level 2 and a 3-year apprenticeship for level 3. But if you've already done the level 2 and you go on to do a level 3, some of that will count towards the level 3, so you won't technically be doing the level 3 for 3 years, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I understand that you have to, even if you've got the qualifications for level 3, it's the skills you're acquiring at level 2 and level 3, isn't it, in many of these
And that's the great thing about apprenticeships now, from from back in the day when there were frameworks to now being standards. The great thing is that the onus is so much on the employer to give the apprentice the real experience, that real knowledge in the workplace, working with colleagues, actually completing tasks themselves. So it's getting that skills, knowledge and behaviours. And if you do an apprenticeship, you'll hear that so much. Those three elements are what are the infrastructure of your apprenticeship.
Great, thank you. Somebody's asked a very useful question, which is about who places the apprentices in employment. How does that work?
So at the moment, there's two ways. So either many apprentices come to us and say, I've got an employer who wants to take me on as an apprentice, because employers actually get an incentive payment to take on apprentices. So some people actually know people within the industry, and they have employers themselves that want to take them on. So we do all the vetting, we do all this, we do all the checks on that employer to ensure that they are able to take an apprentice on. And then if you're interested in an apprenticeship, we have a business services team, and they do help people. They help people find an apprenticeship as well. We have many employers that we work with, and that we've worked with for many years, who are very committed to us as a college in terms of apprenticeships as well. So they're always looking for apprentices. So we sometimes have positions available as well. So it works both ways. It could be that you come with us and you've got somebody that wants to take on an apprentice, or the employer is already asking us and we've got their details and they're literally waiting to take on an apprentice.
Thank you. I can't remember on your list whether or not we do offer a bricklaying apprenticeship.
Not currently, no. We used to, and if I'm honest, sadly, the demand for bricklaying hasn't been as strong in recent times, probably in the past year or two. So we've actually put it on hold, but it is one that we have ran, and we've had a few apprentices on it, and it's done well. So it could be something that we pick up again in the future, but currently we're not offering bricklaying.
Okay, thank you. I'm just checking to see whether or not there's any more questions coming through. As Rena has said, we've got the more detailed event next week, so please feel free to come along to that. Sorry, we do have just one more question coming, Rena.
Absolutely, that's fine.
Are there any sports or health and fitness apprenticeships?
Not at the moment, but it's something I'm actually developing and I'm looking into. So please do contact our admissions team with your details, and we'll be in touch as soon as we've got it off the ground. We haven't quite got it off the ground yet, but we have had some interest in it recently.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much. I'm just having a quick read of some other ones that are coming through. What if you can't find a vacancy for an apprenticeship? What if you can't find an employer?
So we will help you find an employer. Like I said, we have a massive database of employers, and majority of the time we're able to find an apprentice, an apprenticeship. Sometimes there's a bit of a wait. It's not instant. So, we have to wait a couple of months, but we do try and find everyone an apprenticeship at some point. And we have a lot of employers that have actually advertised for an apprentice on the National Apprenticeship website. So we use portals, and we use systems like that to try and help employers find an apprentice. So we look on there, and if a local employer is looking for an apprentice, then we do go out and we speak to them.
Okay, thank you. Is there a situation where if the student's been unsuccessful in finding an employer, that perhaps they can go on to a full-time, so if they want to do, if we stick to carpentry, if they want to do carpentry, they could actually do the course?
Of course, yeah. All of our programs that we have to offer, we also offer full-time provision for majority of them. So if an apprenticeship hasn't worked out for you, but you really want to work in the carpentry industry or plumbing industry or engineering, we offer full-time courses at the college as well. So there's always that option too.
Yeah, great, thank you. Thanks very much, Rena. I think we've come to the end of our session. It's 10 to 7. And that means that there's 10 more minutes of our tutors online on the live chat. Yeah. If you want to come, if this presentation has sparked your interest, please do come back and join us next week, and we will try to go into a little bit more detail for you. I'm just, one more question that's just come in just before I wrap it up altogether. What if somebody has an employer available in March, but they haven't yet finished year 11?
So you'd have to finish year 11 to start your apprenticeship. So if your employer is willing to wait until you finish your year 11, then you know, with apprenticeships we don't start like the academic year. So we have different intakes at different points in the year. So for instance, this year we had October. We've just started various cohorts at the beginning of January, and we're starting some more in April. So, you know, even if you're currently finishing your year 11, you could start your apprenticeship when you finish that, and your employer may be willing to wait for you. So what I would suggest is having a word with them and saying that you're actually finishing in June, July, and that you could be starting an apprenticeship with us next September or whenever we have the next intake.
Okay, thank you so much. And I'm just popping in the chat just a link to our apprenticeship page on the website. So if you want to have a look through there and then have a look at some of the frameworks and yeah,
there's lots of information on the website, lots of information, and there's lots of specific information to the programs we have to offer as well. And this what is required in the entry requirements for each apprenticeship. So please do have a look at those.
Yeah, great. Well, if there's no more questions, I'm just having a quick skim through. There doesn't seem to be any more coming through. Somebody's just said, how do we register for next week's apprenticeship webinar? I'm just going to pop the link in here.
So I've just gone back a slide. So it's, but yeah, if Fiona's putting the link in, but you can also go to our website. There's more information there.
It's on the events page, is it?
Yes.
One moment before we finish, I will get those details and pop them in. So you actually register on our Eventbrite page. So I've just popped that in the chat. So feel free to then jump on and register. As we've done today, we will send you the links to the event just before the event itself, and we will be running it in Zoom as we have today. So Rena, thank you so much, that was brilliant. Look forward to next week and seeing what we can learn.
Yeah, and hopefully not that I can see you, but hopefully I will see some of you again next week.
Great, thanks so much.
Thank you.